In the beginning of my fitness journey, I always felt like I was simply going through the motions. I hated fitness, but I was there to keep myself alive. I knew it was necessary. So it was necessary, but then April 2016 came, and something happened. I felt the click. The click was this moment when I realized I was actually enjoying what I was doing in the gym. I was actually happy to be there. Coach Andrew showed me that fitness wasn't just about treadmills and 4 sets of 10 with light dumbbells or on machines, but it could be so much more. It could be functional, it could be heavy, it could be fun. He made me realize that fitness could be part of a life that brought me joy and that it was more than just a chore. Also in 2016, I went to Camp Nerd Fitness. I was super nervous about this. Being an introvert and always a super overweight guy my entire life. And here I was going to a fitness camp of all things. So I set myself a goal that summer before I went to camp. I was going to drop at least 25 pounds during that summer's fit club at my gym. So it was a challenge that the gym did all the time, like twice a year, I think. And so every day I came in and I got in HIIT cardio classes. And if there was no HIIT cardio class that day, what I did was I got on the elliptical. And in the afternoons, on the non-HIIT days, I was lifting weights based on the program that Coach Andrew drew out. It was an arduous schedule, and I both hated and loved it simultaneously, if that's possible. This was post-click. It was in my brain now that this was fun. This was exciting. I was seeing changes in my body that I never saw before, and this made me happy. So in the end, I succeeded in losing about 28 pounds in that about 2.5 months leading up to camp. And I went down to the mountains of Georgia for this adult fitness summer camp with, at least a sense of confidence. It didn't hurt that during that whole entire summer, everybody knew I was going to this camp. So Coach Andrew and all of the members and, Kate and Al at the gym, they were all building up my confidence the entire summer. They were just, they were reinforcing that I could do this. So after I got back, I transitioned into more of a powerlifting style training. Generally, I was pretty pleased with where my body was at the time. I wasn't like super shredded or anything, but I was leaner than I had ever been. Probably hovering in the upper teens body fat. A year later, I moved to Richmond, Virginia. At that point, I just started muddling through fitness. Went through a couple of different coaches. Had a coach who was, primarily focused on hypertrophy. We went through some mobility stuff, which I still do today. But I was trying to find my way in a new city, a new gym. I landed in a chain studio doing HIIT classes for about 9 months, which was an F45 studio. The truth is, I really never felt like F45 was the right thing for me, deep down. I made myself want to believe it was. There was this sort of CrossFit atmosphere, and I looked at it from afar, and I thought it would be good. I really did. But I was afraid of injury. And so when I looked at CrossFit boxes, I liked the mentality of that, and it felt very familiar to me when I looked at these, but at the same time, I was afraid. I will fully admit that I was afraid that I wouldn't measure up, that I couldn't accomplish it, that I couldn't do it. Because let's face it, CrossFit boxes have a reputation. You have these jacked, shirtless people throwing up like massive barbells loaded up with like 225 pounds and, doing snatches at high speed. And then in between hopping over the bar and hammering out burpees. I mean, that is the picture that most people have of a CrossFit box. And so I went through the motions at F45, but I never really felt like I was progressing there. I wasn't getting leaner. I definitely wasn't getting stronger. My endurance increased, but every workout I felt drained. I felt like I didn't want to do anything the rest of the day, because the fact is that I was sitting at peak heart rate the entire time. my form wasn't improving because everything was moving so fast that you never really had time to focus on your form. Hey, do front squats, but do them for 45 seconds and then rest for 10 seconds and then move on to the next station and then do 9 more stations and then come back to front squats and do them for 45 more seconds. But you get 10 seconds rest to move to the next station. How? How am I supposed to learn how to do a proper front squat if I'm moving this fast? So, I was going through all these motions. And then in mid-December, I saw an ad on Instagram, and I'm normally immune to ads. I will fully admit this, but this jumped out at me, and I don't know why, but it jumped at me. And it was a local CrossFit box, and I was like, okay, I haven't heard of that one before. Let me look it up. It's 1.5 miles from my apartment? Wow, okay. So I'm gonna go check this out. So when I get there, what I learned was, it was a CrossFit box. It doesn't say CrossFit in the name. It's called River City Fit, and the owner, Jacob, he talked a lot about wanting a different culture than your typical CrossFit box, which made sense to me. Again, you have that cultural perception of what CrossFit is. I was hesitant. I was scared. Did I want to go down this rabbit hole? Here I am sitting in a CrossFit box, something that I've been afraid of for so long, and I wasn't sure if I could do this. So Jacob convinced me to take a free class. Thankfully, the free class was front squats that day, and not like snatches or cleans or some Olympic lift. So after the class, I agreed to sign up for a couple months. My thought was thinking I was just going to go back and forth between, River City and do CrossFit classes and then F45 and just kind of, do it as a change of pace. It was something that was new. It was something that was, just switching things up, right? So my first week, which I now refer to as week 0, I spent half my time at River City and about half my time at F45. This was also the week of Christmas. So I had some time off on Wednesday, bouncing between the two gyms. And when I went to bed on that Friday, I was unsure of which gym I was going to go to on Saturday. They were both having classes that Saturday. So River City was doing a team WOD, and F45 was doing their normal Hollywood routine. So I woke up, I looked at my phone, and I had this epiphany moment that I was kind of done with F45. After going through even a few workouts at River City, I realized that was probably the place for me. It made more sense. It looked like, it seemed like a place that was going to foster my physical fitness growth, that my fitness was going to improve there, that it was more geared towards my mentality and really what I was trying to achieve. So I went in for that Saturday class, and I was very nervous because it was a team class, and I was concerned that I was going to hold people back or what have you. And I was stunned because everybody was so supportive and so great. They knew I had just started, and everybody just, they were there to support each other. And it was a great culture. So I booked myself into that class, I got through it, and I was okay. And I survived, right? So the following week, I went to River City, except it was New Year's on Wednesday, and there was no class at River City. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I still want to get a workout in. Well, I still have F45. Let me go up to F45, and I'll do a class. It was weird. It felt weird all of a sudden, because even though I've been doing these classes for 9 months now, it felt different. Because I realized that this wasn't where I was meant to be in terms of my fitness. The workouts that we did in River City were condensed in terms of the metabolic conditioning piece. You might have a 15-minute metabolic conditioning versus a 45-minute metabolic conditioning. And that was different, but it was to me it felt better because I felt like if I look at my data on my watch, I'm still burning the same number of calories, but it's in a condensed time period. I'm not sitting at peak heart rate for 45 minutes, which means, holy crap, I can actually push myself hard for 20 minutes. And then my recovery has been so much better since I've started doing this, but I'm already starting to see those changes. I'm getting stronger. My endurance is improving just from a few weeks. But let's be honest, when I started out, week one, it felt very familiar, but it was also very intimidating because this was so new to me. And I did not know how to do a lot of these things, especially Olympic lifts, which I've never done. But it felt familiar. It was like a moment of coming home. It felt like Anytime Fitness again for some reason, and I wasn't quite sure why. So as I was struggling and kind of, he could probably tell just from the look on my face that I was feeling a little bit frustrated. Coach Jacob made a suggestion. Let's do some personal training sessions, and we'll work on the Olympic lifts one-on-one and kind of give me a jump start, right? So I can deadlift, I can squat. I'm pretty good at those things, but these are new lifts. So I signed up for 5 PT sessions with Jacob. So on session 1, what we did is we worked on some clean form. We started with PVC pipe and we moved through the motions that I needed to get to. He also identified some areas to work on, including wrist mobility and strengthening my scapula. It was sort of surreal because we also had the session on a Wednesday afternoon. And I always met with Andrew, my old coach in Connecticut, on Wednesday afternoons. So it was all very familiar and yet all very new at the same time. During session 2, we hammered at form on the clean some more, and we worked on the wrists, and we really hammered at the form. About halfway through the session, I did a clean from a hang position, and I heard Coach Jacob scream, "That's it! That was awesome! You did it!" And I couldn't repeat it all consistently, but I did a few more. But I felt something in my brain. It was the click. The click. I remember this click. I remember this moment from 4 years ago. And I haven't had that feeling in so long. But there it was. I know it. That was the click. My brain came to the realization that this is it. This is what I should be doing. I'm lifting heavy again. I'm using barbells. I'm struggling like I did the first time I learned to squat and deadlift. But it was awesome. I was being challenged. And yet at the same time, with every lift, I was feeling a little bit stronger and a little bit better. I was getting a little bit more confident with every single lift. I'm like, oh my God, this is the moment. It was the click. So the day after, I took a rest day because we had done snatches in the morning, and then I did some cleans with Jacob in the afternoon, and my scapula was it was on fire. I was like, oh, the pain. But you know what? It was temporary. And on Friday, I was right back in it because I was excited. I was excited to get back into it. I was like, I can't wait. And so this past week, I put in 7 days in the box with a double session on Wednesday with the PT. With every session, I feel like I'm learning more and more. I'm getting better. New movements, new concepts, and new ways of moving my body. I am refocusing on my body and being present and in the moment. My breathing, I'm focused on my breathing as I'm focused on the performance of the movement and not just doing the movement as fast as humanly possible, because instead of being confined to a 45-second time window, I'm now confined to a 20-minute time window, and I just have to complete this sequence of things. And you know what? If I don't get all of them done, I put the effort in. And what I know is I can always come back at it the next time and do better. But it's about the movement and being present in that place that made me feel so at ease at the same time. It was during the past week that I said to myself the words I never imagined I would say since I began this journey 4 years ago. I'm a CrossFit athlete, not a member, not a client. The coaches treat us as athletes. Andrew always treated me like that. He always pushed me like he would push an athlete. He always knew that's what I wanted. He knew deep down after I had that click moment, he knew that what I was after was to be the athlete that I always wanted to be. He saw something that no one had ever previously seen in me. And I feel like I became that. It's why he said that I was the phoenix. I burned up to the ground and I rose from the ashes stronger. I was at my lowest point when I started working with him, and I never was stronger in my life than, the times I was working out with him. And over the last couple of years, I've lost a little bit of that, just being lost in sort of this nebulous void. But now it's so great to be treated like someone there to get stronger, to get better, and to push myself beyond my perceived limits, to force me to be uncomfortable every single day, but do it in a safe environment. We're not trying to kill ourselves. We're trying to improve ourselves. And sometimes that means being uncomfortable. When I left Anytime Fitness in Connecticut a couple of years ago, I always said, you can't capture lightning in a bottle. The time I spent there, the sessions I had with Coach Andrew, they were some of the most amazing parts of my life. I still believe that you can't recreate the defining moments of your life. You can't. In that space, I had such a supportive crew of people around me. For the first time in years, I'm feeling that again. Amazing, supportive people, all working together to make themselves better. So, I'm a CrossFit athlete. No, you're not gonna find me swinging from rings from the ceiling, shirtless tomorrow while snatching 225 pounds and then hammering out 50 burpees. Those are goals for the future. But for now, I'm pushing hard and I'm improving myself every single day. I am pushing myself every WOD to become a better athlete. Every workout puts me closer to my goals. And now that I have that feeling of purpose again, I'm focused on making 2020 the year of Phoenix. Because this will be the year that I achieve what I've been chasing for 4 years now. There's a part of me that just knows that this journey that I've been on for 4 years now, this is sort of the culmination of it. And this year is going to be the best year of this journey ever. I know this. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I know it. And I am so excited to see what the year brings. So thanks for listening to this rather longish video. I know I put a lot of this emotion into this, and I'm super excited. And future videos, of course, will be a little bit shorter, but I felt like I needed to say what I need to say, which is that I've reached a point where I'm ready to push myself beyond my limits and be a better athlete.